Hey everyone, I am back, and today I'm going to be talking about something. Some of y'all might like it, some of y'all might not. I think a lot of you might not, but I got very good points. Trust me. Each year, I know I get asked about a dozen times, even maybe 24 times, to join a fantasy football league, whether online or in some sort of pool with friends or anything like that. Well, here's the thing. I hate fantasy football. Absolutely hate it. And I think it's pointless. I know. Now all y'all are about to, punch your fist at me on the computer screen, throw tomatoes at me, throw rotten eggs at me. I don't care. But there's a lot of reasons I do not like fantasy football. Here are some points of why I think fantasy football is ridiculous. One, I see fans act stupid when they watch a game and they see someone like, how am I going to put it this way? Say the Arizona Cardinals are playing and Larry Fitzgerald hadn't scored a touchdown and the other receiver has scored two, whoever the other receiver is, or running back scored a couple. And people are like, throw it to Fitzgerald, I need him to score 2 touchdowns so I can win today. Or they get mad if quarterback doesn't throw for 300 yards. But his team wins. Those players out there do not care that they are on your fantasy team. They don't care. They care about their wins, losses, and a lot of them, of course, about their money, their contracts. They don't care that they are on your fantasy team. Have you ever seen a player at the end of a game when he's being interviewed by the sideline reporter? He always thanks his mom, his dad, his teammates. But you never see him thank his fantasy owners. Oh, you'll never see him go, I want to thank everybody who has me on their fantasy team. I hope y'all won this week. No, never going to happen. Those players don't care if Jim Bob from Hattiesburg, Mississippi has you on their fantasy, has them on their fantasy team. They don't care. They don't care. Another thing, fans act like they own these players. They act like they do. I've heard of fans going up to the guy and goes, hey, you're on my fantasy team, late for winning for this week. Okay, stop acting like you own these guys. You don't own these players. If you own them, okay, first off, if you act like you own them, why don't you write their paycheck? Now you're thinking about it. I don't see you popping out the checkbook and writing their check for $1 million they make that game. You don't do that. They're not playing for you. They're playing for their paychecks and their owners. Speaking of that, another thing, you can't predict injuries. A couple years ago, remember when Tom Brady got injured the very first quarter of the very first game? And he's done for the year? Who do you think is going, no, pulling their hair out? Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots, Coach Bill Belichick, or whoever has Brady on their fantasy team? Kraft and Belichick are thinking about it more because that affects them. That affects whether they make the playoffs or not. They didn't make the playoffs that year. This was the year after they made the Super Bowl, after their only loss in the season was in the Super Bowl. The owners care more if their players get hurt because that's an investment to them. But these players are not investments to you fantasy owners. You may think they are. And I've seen people spend hours and hours and hours a week organizing their fantasy team. And they act like it's a big deal to win like a $100 pot in their office or some lame trophy that nobody was going to care. Oh, wow, you won fantasy football. I don't care. Do you have a Super Bowl ring? Do you have a Super Bowl ring? Or did you win a high school football championship? Or did you win a national championship in college? Or a conference championship? I would care if you showed me that than some paper mache trophy that says top fantasy owner, or you won it in some online league. I see people who have a dozen fantasy teams, and they spend hours organizing it, and it ruins relationships with their friends, their girlfriends, or boyfriends if girls are playing it, their spouses, and they're spending more time on these fantasy teams than they are with their own children. And the reason I use fantasy football more is because that's played more. Yes, there is fantasy baseball, there is fantasy basketball, there's fantasy hockey, there's even fantasy NASCAR and golf. in soccer. And I just think it's ridiculous. I truly think it's the most ridiculous thing. And I know people are going to say, well, don't you play video games, Clay? Well, yes, I do play Madden. I do play Madden. But see, there's a difference between Madden and fantasy football. Madden, you're in more control. You can choose which players are out there on the field. You can choose what plays you run. You're acting like a coach out there. But with a fantasy team, you're not a coach. You don't know the play. You don't know what the team's going to be calling a play. You think if Peyton Manning only threw for 150 yards in a game, yeah, his team won. Yes, he'd say he needs to improve for the next game, but he's glad he won the game. It doesn't matter if you win pretty or you win ugly, a win is a win. And that's what these players care about, is winning the game. I just wish people would stop asking me. They're like, Clay, you're a sports genius. You would win easily in your league. I don't care. I don't care to play it. I care about how players are doing because, you know, I like to see good players do well. But I don't like to see these people just, oh, my fantasy. I always like to see this dilemma. I really want to see this dilemma. Say you are a fan of a team. I mean, say you're I don't know. Say you're a New Orleans Saints fan. Okay? Say you're a Saints fan. Okay, I take it back. Okay, say you're a Saints fan, and they're playing Green Bay. And Aaron Rodgers is on your fantasy team. So, who do you root for? Do you root for the Saints if you're a Saints fan? And if you're that same Saints fan, and you have Aaron Rodgers on your fantasy team, what kind of dilemma are you in? I see this happen, where fans, they see a guy who is on their fantasy team, their big guy on their fantasy team, playing their favorite team. What do you do? Do you bench him? Do you root for? Oh, I want the Saints to win, but I want Aaron Rodgers to throw for 400 yards. That's stupid. That's stupid. You. If you're a fan of the Saints, you should be rooting for your team to win against the Packers, despite if Aaron Rodgers is on your fantasy team. I know you can bench him, but I just love seeing these dilemmas with these guys. The thing again, these players don't care that they're on your fantasy team. They don't care. They don't give a rat's ass. They don't care. I don't ever see a player thank his fantasy owners. The coaches don't care. The owners don't care. They're the ones that care about the players more. The coaches, if a player gets injured, it affects the owner, it affects the coaches, and it affects the team more than it affects the fantasy league. It's just a ridiculous thing. It really is ridiculous. I know I'm going to get a hell of a lot of backlash over this. I'm going to get ripped to shreds, I'm sure, because I know millions of people across America play fantasy football. And now you have Fox and CBS and NBC and ESPN showing the little scroll thingy at the bottom, fantasy updates, who's had the best fantasy league rap. You know, what? And some of these football fans or fantasy owners do not even know a single offensive lineman in the game, because offensive linemen are apparently on fantasy leagues. They don't care. They don't know these guys, even though they should be some of the highest paid players on the team, because they're protecting the quarterback, they're protecting the running back. You know, they're protecting some guys. They're down there in the trenches getting hit every single play. Yeah, a lot of fans don't know them because they're not the glamour position. I mean, usually when an offensive lineman gets elected to the Hall of Fame, they look at, okay, how many Pro Bowls was he selected to? I believe we had 2 offensive linemen going to the Hall of Fame this past year. Jermani Dawson was a center, which is also not a glamorous position, because people like to make fun of the center position because of the, you know, snap of the ball and the quarterback having his hands right there on his butt. And Willie Rowe, who made 2 all-decade teams in the 90s and the 2000s and made about 11 Pro Bowls, they finally get elected to the Hall of Fame. Neither was on their first try. So, you know, they're not really glamour positions. I mean, most people, they can't name offensive linemen. So, some of the best players in football have been on the O-line, but yet most people don't know about them because they're not the glamour positions. They're not the quarterback, they're not the running back, they're not the wide receiver, they're not the linebacker. They're not, you know, sacking quarterbacks. They're not the safe. They're not the safe. They're not like Ed Reed picking off a pass and running it the other way. Not like that. I personally think fantasy sports are dumb. I seriously do. You couldn't. I will say this: you could not pay me $10 million plus have a threesome with Jessica Biel and Kate Beckinsale to get me to play fantasy football. I wouldn't even do it for that. I wouldn't. I would turn down a threesome with those days, or any hot Hollywood babe. I would turn down a threesome with Marissa Miller and Shakira. I would turn down a threesome with some babes and get paid $10 million, and I would say, no, I'm not playing fantasy football. I seriously would. I seriously would not play. You could not pay me. You could not drag me. It'd be like trying to pay me to go see the other Twilight movies. I got dragged to the first one, so don't even ask me about that. I wouldn't see them for the life of me. You couldn't pay me money to read 50 Shades of Grey. You couldn't pay me money to do certain things because I'm not easily fooled anymore. I'm not easily duped anymore. So, excuse me. So, I know some of you don't like it, but you got to think about my points. So, if you got any comments, comment down right down here below. Right down here below. Don't forget to subscribe up here. And I apologize if William did not eat the hot dog. Okay, I said my friend William was going to eat this 2-foot-long hot dog out of the Texas Rangers game. He saw the size of it. He passed on it. It was really big. It wasn't like the hot dog's not like an Oscar Mayer size hot dog. It's a big brat. I mean, it's huge. I have a picture of it on my Twitter page, which you can follow me. It's right down here below. Twitter page right down here below. So don't forget to follow me. And you know, I want to shout out to my boy Nate. Nate, you need to do this. I know you hate Taylor Swift, and I know you tweet about it a lot. Do a video like mine and just bash Taylor and tell us all why you hate her. You really need to know why you hate her. We need to know why you seriously hate her. I think she's gonna write a song about you one day, buddy. So don't forget to comment. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll be doing more videos. What could I be talking about this week? Oh, I don't know. We'll find out later this week. Sorry, I haven't done any movie reviews. Haven't had time to go to the movies, so check me out. Talk to you guys later, and I will see you guys next time right here on my channel. What day? You never know. It might just pop up.